Welcome to the Wednesday, January 8th, 2025 edition of Weather to Watch. Well, there's still a lot of weather to watch. Another snowstorm is taking shape, this one taking aim to areas a lot farther south than the last one we just talked about. I'll show you where. Folks down in that part of the world not used to seeing big snows as much as they are, let's say, around Kansas City. And we'll show you where I think it's going here in a minute. The California fire situation, Santa Ana winds blowing strong overnight, causing devastation in and around the Los Angeles metropolitan area. Show you the latest and tell you a little bit about why that's happening. Lower 48 snow cover. I'm going to look at the current state of snow cover across the U.S., compare it to last month, and tell you what it was last year at this time. And a fresh supply of Arctic air appears to be on tap for the central U.S. early next week. Hopefully that's the last one for a while. Well, here's the morning water vapor loop. You can clearly see by looking at this, and I use water vapor because it's a great tag, a marker for finding, especially spinning in the atmosphere. Moisture is indicated by purple, and of course the white is actual cloudiness, but also dry air is shown on these water vapor loops. So this right here down in Baja and in northwest Mexico is dry air wrapping around the center of this low, which is still digging. Actually, I think it stopped digging south. It's kind of spinning its wheels, and it's basically awaiting ejection into the southern plains, and it's going to happen over the next couple of days. 500 millibar flow indeed shows that low right here, and there's also a trough of low pressure right in through here, and that is actually what's helping that system to dive south. It stopped diving south now. I think it's just kind of spinning its wheels, kind of cut off from the main circulation in a way. And it's interesting, you know, hurricanes do the same thing. These are huge circulation systems, of course, much stronger than this. But they are guided by the weakest of influences. So, you know, when this thing is sitting down there, we're watching it very carefully to see how it's going to eject. And computer models traditionally have a little bit of difficulty getting these right, better than they used to be. At least part of that's over land now, where the sensing data is a little more prevalent. But that's an upper level system, so we don't necessarily have as many reporting stations up at that level. We have satellites to guide us, and that's about it. Take a look at the surface map. We'll just take a tour. The Northeast is just cool. Boston is below freezing in the morning here, around 27 degrees. Lake effect snow squalls are kicking up again. They're taking a brief reprieve. They're not as intense as they were previously, late last week, but they're still there. It's 17 in Chicago at 7 a.m., at 9 a.m. I should say this morning, and pretty cool in the Northeast. The freezing line's all the way down in Virginia. Big Arctic high sitting over Oklahoma here today, the center of which is mostly clear skies and calmer winds, so cold temperatures. If I had to eyeball the freezing line, it would be somewhere right about here, 32 degrees. Of course, that is very significant when you're talking about an approaching storm system from the southwest, to see that frozen precipitation, and for the most part it's going to be snow, is certainly going to be possible and almost likely, I think, with this next storm. And then this surface map is centered over California. This is a Santa Ana wind pattern, and it's exacerbated somewhat by the fact that we have an area of low pressure, the upper level system helping to create that, and also the cold plateau, which is where this actually develops. The air just is cold, and then when it sinks, it compresses and warms, and it does so quite efficiently a lot of times, even without the presence of a low down here. This high is sometimes big enough just to do that alone. And the winds, these, by the way, are station models, so the wind always follows the line like that. But we can take a closer look here. This is a loop. It's centered around 11 a.m. this morning, but actually ends in the early afternoon. And you can see the streaks of smoke coming from those fires. Pretty common. I'll change to white here. And the numbers are kind of small here, but I see wind gusts going over 40 or even over 50 miles per hour in some of these reporting stations right here, with Los Angeles being here. Just looking at satellite data, it looks as if the fires that were prevalent around Los Angeles are not, at least not producing as much smoke, and may have been either dissipated or controlled. And then off further to the east, Some of these have really kicked up here this afternoon. So that whole area under a red flag warning, fire danger, very, very high still in certain portions of Southern California. Again, due to that Santa Ana wind, which happens a lot, to the fact that it's named after the city and the area in which it occurs, but you never want to see it nevertheless. We'll change gears and take a look at this next snow. Here's a map that's kind of interesting. This is just the probability of snow greater than 4 inches, and that center line is right from southeast Oklahoma into south central Tennessee through Friday afternoon. Most of this is going to occur Thursday night, evening night into Friday morning, and into Friday afternoon if you're out here. And that's a probability of greater than 4 inches of snow. Then the probability of greater than 8 inches of snow is less and more confined to west central portions of Arkansas. And, you know, that is to be expected with this. I still think there might be room for totals that approach 8 inches, and we'll talk about that here in just a second. The winter weather advisory has been hoisted for much of Oklahoma, central and south central portions of Missouri and southern Illinois, even a small chunk of Kansas as that lighter snow starts to take over. This is a winter storm warning here, and this is a winter storm watch, all in anticipation of this next storm. So the National Weather Service issues forecasts, and what happens is all the local Weather Service offices will issue their own snow forecast, and then this product right here meshes them together, and you can kind of see the boundaries of the Weather Service offices because you'll get these color discontinuities like right there. Generally speaking, though, this is just sort of a consensus. They look at the same models that I show you and come up with an idea of what they think is going to happen. They're showing a band of heavy snow right where the warning is, but the amounts are stopping just over 5 inches in some areas. And so that's, again, the National Weather Service actual forecast or opinion of what's going to happen. Just to give you an example, so models change a lot. They change both from run to run, meaning each of these models, this is the GFS, is run several times a day. This one's run 4 times a day. So from run to run, they can change. And then there's differences between the actual different models. So you have to kind of wade through all this and make some decisions about what you think is going to happen. Now, you'll notice this GFS model, snow band's in about the same place, only it's bigger, and these are approaching 10 inches here, so it's almost double the snow amount, and it just extends down to the Dallas-Fort Worth area too. This is, again, just one model's idea of what's going to transpire over the next 48 hours. So I wanted to show you, this is kind of interesting. This is snow cover. This doesn't actually talk about snow depth. This is just snow, no snow, valid this morning. So 45% of the lower 48 states covered in snow. I went back and I looked, it was 44% at this time last winter, so we're about on pace. If I compare this to about a month ago, early December, 17% of the U.S. covered, and most of that was in the mountain areas and lake effect snow bands. So a couple of storms really can really make a huge difference in where we have snow laid down across the lower 48. And it appears we're going to add white to that map with that next storm. Last thing we'll look at is the 500 millibar wind flow, at least according to the GFS model. And I want to show you that generally speaking, we still have this storm kind of lifting out of the southwest, another push of cold air coming in early next week. So here's the weekend storm, or actually Friday's storm. There's another little front and low pressure area moving through the Central Plains, a little clipper system. One more push of cold air, and then I think we can finally take a break from at least the extreme cold that's been plaguing the central and eastern U.S. Well, that wraps it up for this edition. You can expect my weather to watch videos about every other day or so, or 3 times a week, maybe 2 if the weather is not quite as interesting. I hope you enjoyed the video. Come back for the next one. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon.